Thank you, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to confess I'm a little bit ashamed. Ashamed to talk to you as a representative of a 200-year-old publisher. In a congress like this, where everyone is talking about digitalization, about change, about, well, the future, probably you will expect that I'm going to talk about the invention of the steam engine, but I can assure I won't do that. Our company is a German-based publishing house. We are mainly in special interest media and B2B media. We are producing a couple of directories. We are producing events for more or less 30,000 people a year. And we have content marketing services, and we are running 14 different e-commerce platforms. That should be enough about our company. Without this exception, you should know that we are a niche publisher. We are dealing with highly targeted groups, with audiences we can define quite clearly. And that's important for all the things I'm going to explain to you. By the way, the clock isn't running. Therefore, I don't know where I am. Well, I have to go back a little bit in time to 2011. In these days, I received charts like this. It's not of importance what you can see on these charts. The main important thing is the direction of the curves is simply wrong. They went down, they didn't go up. That gave us indeed enough time to think about what we have to do. And we had to confess that our structure was totally product-centric. Everything was built around the magazine. The departments, the positions, the resources, the workflows, everything was centered around the product. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not about the product, it's about these people, it's about the audience. And that means it's not about the magazine or any other product we had, it's about the target audience we had to address. And we asked ourselves, what is our real asset? Well, it's the access to a specific target group. And we gain that access through content, through nothing else. Therefore, the question is, did we get the most out of it? Did we really treat content like it should be treated? Well, the answer is a little bit in this slide. You see at the core the target audience, in this case for watch-loving people, collectors of high-end luxury watches, aficionados like we call them, and in large target audience, the people who are interested basically in this topic. We address these people with a magazine, and we address them with a portal. Okay, we do reach a lot of people out of this target audience, but what is more important, we don't reach more. That means we call it like this: there's a wide target group out there we never reach. Okay, you will say that's quite normal. If the media is out there, it's not reaching everyone who should be reached. But it's not about the product, it's about the content. For example, here you see a table of content from one of our magazines, and that's a subscriber of the magazine. That man is going to read this and that article. He's not going to read these articles. That means he has no idea what is written, what is shown in these articles. He is simply not interested, or he has not enough time to read it, whoever may know it. But he's a reader for 2 articles, and he's a member of the wide target group for these 4 articles, for the contents which are presented in these articles. That gives us the possibility to address him again and again through different channels. Well, but our editorial staff, probably like yours, is trained to work like this: print and forget. They are going to produce a magazine, or nowadays they are going to produce an article for a website, and after it's done, they forgot it, because they're heading off to the next step. They have to produce the next magazine, the next article. And due to this mode, we are wasting our energy. It's a tremendous waste of energy, because we're doing all that work for just one single shot. And that's certainly not satisfying. And print and forget, we told our people, cannot be the mode of the future. You have to recycle the contents you have, or you have to write and reuse, like we call it today. That sounds easy, but it isn't, I can tell you. Could it be done in traditional product-centric publishing environment with, well, more news-oriented editors? I can tell you, no, it isn't. We had to change the structure. We had to change the way of thinking. Well, this morning, Kreisky said, we had to change the culture. And I'm now running through 12 lessons we took out of this process, and I will, well, show you what we learned from it in the last 3 years. First of all, Don't try to innovate within old structures. You will certainly fail. Therefore, we had to reorganize the whole company totally. And we had to detect that not the product, but the community is pivotal. That meant we destroyed the old product units, rebuilt the whole stuff, and created community units. Other people call it 360-degree. We call it community units. We had to build a new structure. We had to create new hierarchies, new job descriptions, new responsibilities. And yes, we have a lot of new people nowadays because there have been a lot of people who won't be able to follow that way through with us. And we invented a very special operation force at the beginning. We took 25 people out of the editorial departments and told them, your job has changed. You are now not an editor anymore. You are a transaction editor. What does it mean? It means your job has to trigger transactions. You are not here just to write about anything. You are here to trigger transaction. People should download something from our web spaces. People should buy something. People should interact with us. Second, content matters. You have to be aware that these people, your target audience, simply wants information. They don't want ads. We want ads because we get money out of that. The people are looking for content, and content has to be always first, like Davenport said in this quote. Third, remember that ads can only travel. What does it mean? It's like with this bus. It was constructed to bring people from A to B. It was not constructed to have an advertisement on its side. It's a nice way to make some money for the bus company, but the bus is constructed to bring people from A to B. And that's the same with media. Media is constructed to inform people. The ads can only travel with the information. If it's the other way around, probably the business model will not survive the next years. Well, don't be product-centric. We have heard this morning. Be community-centric. It's important to reach a member of the target group. It's not important how. There are many ways and channels out there you can use. It's not about the product, it's about the target audience. And if you're dealing with your target audience, analyze it. We tell our people you have to analyze your target audience. You can't just produce something. Please analyze the search habits of your target audience. Analyze their social media habits. Analyze the related e-commerce platforms and take a look what the people are doing there, because these are real competitors of ours. And then please build personas. Get a quite clear picture what the people you want to address are all about. Because there are many different types out there and you have to try to address them all. Identify the influencers in your target groups, because influencers give you a lot of input, a lot of ideas, and perhaps you can even use them to work for you or to collaborate with you. And then create multiple touch points. You don't have to use only your magazine. There's a blog, there's a portal. You may use your Facebook site. You may use a million of different things, but create them. And after you've done all that stuff, then you can start to create appropriate products. But that's at the end of the chain, not at the beginning. Well, then list your touch points, because a magazine is clearly not enough. Well, we all have to be multi-platform publishers, blah, 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 blah. Everyone is telling you that in this Congress. Everywhere, everyone is telling this. But wait a second and think about it. Are you really doing it? Are we really acting as multi-platform publishers? And we told our people, well, here's a touch points matrix. On the left-hand side, you see the different forms of content we may offer, and on the top, you may see the different channels we have or the different touch points. Use them, and we say which type of content may be useful for which channel. Then use the power of MIUs. Who knows what it is? Okay, that's minimum information units. Every piece of content can be fragmented into its MIUs. You may call it content atomization. You may remember Joe Ripp said something quite similar today. He said we broke it down to 50 pieces of content from one big article. And that's how it works in a very, very easy example. That's an article from one of our magazines. And you can see here on page number 4 that there's an abstract down there. You can use that abstract immediately. You can publish it in a newsletter, on your portal, in your blog, on Facebook or Google+, wherever you want to do this. On the next page, there's the next abstract. Number 2, you can use it immediately. There's a checklist. You can offer it as a download. It's a fantastic checklist which facilitates the work of the people which are addressed here. On the next page, you find another abstract. It's number 3, and then there's number 4 on the next part of this big article. And at the end of the article, there's an interview with a famous person from that industry. Hopefully you have videoed it, then you can put it on YouTube. Then you have the audio file, you can use it as a podcast, and you can, of course, bring that interview in a printed form directly to your portal, to your blog. You see that this one article, this information unit, like we call it, has at least 10 minimum information units you can use immediately. And we call this embedded marketing. We tell our people you have to use all the pieces you have to embed this into the marketing for your content. Because that's the reality of today, ladies and gentlemen. The editor's job is to create the widest possible reach. We don't have a marketing department anymore who is responsible for this. That's a responsibility of the editor. The editor has to be its own marketer, and he's paid for doing just that. Well, if he's doing it right, or she's doing it right, they are using the magazine, they are using the portal, they are using the newsletters we do publish. But of course, they have to use Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the German equivalent to LinkedIn is Xing. They have to use third-party blogs, third-party company homepages, Wikipedia, Amazon. Yes, fantastic touch points to reach your audience. And they have to use Twitter, Pinterest, PR portals, you may name it. The list is even longer if you want to make it longer. That means if the editors are really using all that stuff, they really have a chance to fill in the wide target group. They really have a chance to reach as many people as possible. Well, that's an approach which alienates a typical editor. Our people haven't been all that happy after we announced the whole program. You can imagine, because they have not been socialized to think and to work like this. Nevertheless, therefore we created the transaction editors. Their job it is to do exactly that. Therefore we are yelling at our people, analyze, define, investigate, produce. And if you've done that, please market through all channels and please measure it. Tell us if you have been successful. But if you want to measure something, you first of all have to develop the goals you are following. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to get a higher traffic, higher visibility, or even more revenue? Please develop your content goals, tell us what your goal is, and then measure it. And then we will see if you are successful or not. And if you are successful, fine. If not, let's talk together. You can imagine we needed a direct link for all of that. We needed a link to our audience. The newsstand is clearly not an option for this. Therefore, we had to create our own e-commerce platforms. We built up 14 different e-commerce platforms, and today we consider ourselves to be a shop-centric company. That means in the middle of everything, the shop is located, and through the shop we can sell whatever you define. We can sell our subscriptions, our magazines, we can sell our event tickets, we even can sell merchandising products and, of course, downloads. And on the left-hand side, you see the possibilities we have to do content marketing, to use the contents we have to bring that into life. Well, and please use the power of real-time relevancy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a fantastic place in Bangkok. Vertigo, it's up on the 63rd floor of a skyscraper, one of the most impressive restaurants and bars I've ever been. It's absolutely worthless for you to know anything about this today because we are here in Toronto. If you want to go to a desktop, to a terrace tonight, you will go to Thompson and not to Vertigo because Bangkok is a little bit far away. That's real-time relevancy. I can tell you a lot about Vertigo, but it's absolutely nonsense and worthless at the moment. Therefore, we have to create a system where we give the necessary information to the people in the right moment, in the right place. That means we created our websites, we created our shop, and between both there's an algorithm. We call it shop widgets. And these are displaying the shop items exactly in the moment someone is using an article which is fitting to these shop items. We are displaying 3 to 4 million different messages every month to the people who are using us. We are using it again in a push mechanism in social media and in a push mechanism in the newsletter. Everything is connected with the shop and everything is driving traffic back to the shop. The data we generate from there is stored in our Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and through the campaign management we use all that stuff to address the people. And I can tell you it works. This system of real-time relevancy is producing a 23% conversion rate. That means nearly a quarter of all the people who are coming to our shop are going to buy something. That's quite an amazing figure, I think. It shows you that it is really working. What has all this to do with mobile? Everything. You can forget all that stuff. if you don't think mobile first. Because you see here that the desktop is clearly on the decline. It plays only a minor role, and it will play an even minor role in the future. That means that you have to think mobile first. And that means really you have to think from the tiniest possible device upwards. You have to start with a smartphone. You shouldn't start with a desktop. You have to develop your desktop appearance out of your smartphone appearance and not the other way around. If you're still in the responsive play, you should think about it. That's not the play of the game of the future. And now we are going to show you what we have done in a real live example in our company in New York. Dominik will give you some ideas about that.
Thank you, Gerrit. Yeah, it's exciting times for Ebner. As you can think, as a 200-year-old company, we're family-owned. We have 17 members in the advisory board, so Gerrit had to convince 17 Ebner family members to help him destroy the company and rebuild it. And I think that's exciting. You know, it's fun to be a part of it, and you can give Gerrit a lot of credit for what he just showed you. It's really unique in Germany. We just did a case study with Harvard. We're going to do case studies with other universities in America and help students and the next media generation, the millennials, understand what we're doing, how we're rebuilding, reinventing media in Germany and beyond. Now, WatchTime, here's one real-life example for a strategy that we've been implementing in the past couple years at WatchTime, and it's called Evergreen content. The insight behind Evergreen content is this. Evergreen content is the content that your audience is looking for every time. It is not news. It is content that they can use, that they can reuse, that they can share and like and push on to people at any given time of the year. It's content that's relevant throughout the year. And here's what it did for WatchTime. When we started to implement Evergreen content, our website uniques went up by 900% within 3 years. Because the website uniques went up, our conversion to newsletters also went up. Because the website uniques went up, social media fans, likes, and shares went up. And at the end of the day, our digital subscription sales skyrocketed. Today, WatchTime has more digital subscribers than print subscribers, and at any given month, we're converting 10% of our newsletter audience to paid subscriptions. I hope you can do that too, but with Evergreen content, I'm sure you can. On the bottom of that slide are some basic facts about WatchTime and our Watch Media family. It's the world's leading Watch Media family for millionaires and billionaires who collect fine timepieces. And as you can tell, it's a great time for our team to be part of that reorganization and be part of the new Ebner, as we call it. Now let's move on. Why are evergreens so important for the new Ebner and the mobile strategy that we have? Well, as you can tell, news, they're great, but they also have inherent disbenefits. News are news. They're just that. But evergreens, on the other hand, are something in terms of quality content that you can use for a very long time. You produce them once, and then you update them throughout the year. You produce them once, and you can use them on many, many channels. And evergreens are so important for our content strategy that they are the single most critical element of the new Ebner strategy to drive traffic, to bring people to websites, and then to convert these people to paid products and to the shop system that Gerrit just showed you. Here are some evergreen examples, some random examples. I took them for the Content Marketing World, which is the world's leading content marketing conference, where large companies, Fortune 500, and large other companies learn how to produce content. And there you would be at an audience where people have hundreds of journalists, like Coke or IBM or Pepsi or Facebook. There are people sitting there at Content Marketing World learning about creating content, news, and evergreens. And we were on stage presenting new Ebner, and it was kind of a, I would say, disruptive presentation. We got many, many questions afterwards, and we're still in touch with many of the companies, and this is how the Harvard collaboration emerged. And it's great, you know, sharing insights and expertise with all these other companies and people who do evergreen content. And these are, as I said, some random examples, so you know what it is. The Ebner Evergreen strategy has 7 steps, 7 key steps. And if only one thing that we remember from this presentation about evergreen content, it's this single chart. Take these 7 steps home. Take a photo of the slide, bring them back home to your people, sit down, work through them step by step. Don't skip one step. Do it step by step. Do it slowly. Send me an email, send Gerrit an email if you have troubles. If you can't convince your people, because as you've seen in the Homer Simpson chart, it's really alienating for your people. But do it step by step. Do it slowly. It will take you maybe a year, maybe 1.5 years, but if you do it right, you will be successful. You will have the same traffic and audience growth that we had. Now here are some details about the 7 steps. What did we do? First, we created personas. Very easy, very structured. Second step, we looked into keyword families. We looked at Amazon, at Google, at Facebook, at YouTube, everywhere where people type in search words, where people search content. We tried to create large keyword universes. Oftentimes, there are 6, 7, 8,000 keywords in one universe for one website. And these keyword universes are then the base for the next step, which is our content plan. We have a yearly, a monthly, and a daily content plan. This is very important to structure the workforce that you have. If you want to produce evergreen content, you need a great schedule. You need to really structure your people and tell them what to do based on what keywords for what persona. This is very important. Next step, and this is very critical too. Once you've published, do not print and forget, as Gerrit mentioned before. Update your content every 90 days. Create an update schedule. This would be your example if you would start in January 2016 with your evergreens, because by then you're working through the 7 steps I just showed you. This will be your update cycle for the next year. Every 90 days, every evergreen content that you produced would have to be updated. And if you do it right, it will grow step by step. It will grow every week, every month, every quarter. You will see traffic growth if you do great updates based on keywords for the exact right persona. Step 5, social media amplification. This is great, it's fun. Because one evergreen, you've seen the minimum information unit, and we call it for social media amplifiable information units, because everything you do with the evergreens can be repurposed, reshared, re-amplified across social media. For that, we have another schedule. It's our 45-day social media amplification schedule, and it really works great. We simply take every evergreen, we break it down into minimum information units, and then we share it across many, many social media networks. And it's really great because people out there love it. It's not that readers are alienated or bored or annoyed by the evergreens. They love it. They reshare it. They add their own evergreen contents in our comments section. They like it, and it's amazing how much engagement we have with this social media schedule. The next step, you can turn one content, as Gerrit showed you with the touchpoint matrix, and I'm going to show it to you again because it's so critical for your re-amplification and repurpose strategy. You can use that touchpoint matrix to just reshare across many, many, many channels. The last and final step of your evergreen strategy is converting people. Gerrit mentioned the 23% conversion rate with shop widgets from uniques on websites to shop to sale, and this is how you do it. You install pop-ups and small elements on your website with a real-time relevancy system that pushes out messages at the right time to the right audience to direct people to your shop. And if you do it right, this is how it looks like. This is your 7-step evergreen strategy that leads to a conversion that will not only scale your traffic, that will also scale your social media, it will scale your revenues, it will scale your subscriptions, it will scale everything if you do it right. And I'm going to hand on to Gerrit to give us some final thoughts, and then we're open to questions.
Yes, and before you're going to ask us, is it working? It is working. Here you see a chart of our community unit watches, and you see that the total reach of this community unit went up from 350,000 on January 14 up to nearly 800,000 now. And we need reach. The most important thing we need is reach within our target groups. And that means if we have the necessary reach, then we can bring up the turnover. And that's the whole thing behind it. We simply need reach. If we have enough reach, then we can get more money out of these target groups. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, we are happy to answer. Thank you.
A very structured, undistracted presentation. I mean, so structured. How long has this process been going on? How long is it going to go on for?
Probably it's going on forever, I think.
Right.
Because you detect every 3 months a new item you have to deal with. And it's going on now since 3 years. We started more or less for 3 years with the conceptualizing phase, and then we implemented it in the company.
Okay. And what made you start? Because it sounds like a conservative family-owned company. You must have scared the shit out of them. How did you do that?
They have been rather relaxed, yeah.
Right.
You see, they are, indeed, it's the eighth generation, and they are rather relaxed. They know a lot what happened in the past. No, it was absolutely necessary because we are still earning a lot of money. and now we can invest this money. If we don't do this, there will be a day where we will not earn that much money and that we don't have the room to maneuver. Therefore, I convinced them that we have to act relatively fast and relatively in advance. Well, and they said, okay, carry on.
Okay, excellent. A question, one question.
I have a question, and I have the box, so I have.
You have a box? Oh, well, it looks like Trump's then, okay.
There you go. One major question. This whole strategy looks fantastic, but my question is, it must have changed your geographic reach for your content as well. Because you started off as a German publisher focusing on watches. Now you have an unlimited audience globally. Have you changed your strategy vis-a-vis the language that you publish in?
Well, one example of why this is so important is we're now licensing WatchTime, and some are here, I believe, on 4 continents. We have 11 countries. And yes, it is important to be international, but to be honest, at the end of the day, advertising and revenue decisions are being made local. But what it enables the people to do is be part of this amazing family of growth, of reinvented media, and it's a message that's so powerful for every local market. So having global growth is very important for your local brand, because suddenly you're part of this overall revenue increase and audience increase, and you can tell that story to every single staff member, advertiser, and reader. So it's a great marketing message, and it's a great revenue scale engine, if you will.
But surely it allows you to have to rethink that at some point in the future for the next 100 years, yeah?
Okay, thank you for that. Final question.
Yeah, hi. Amazing strategy, but just one simple question. How do you segregate the evergreens from the regular content? Because there is a lot of content that we normally think is evergreen, but it truly isn't. And sometimes when you put out those evergreens, you come to know about it. But most often it happens only after it's been published. So how exactly would you distinguish, or how do you work towards getting more evergreens, and what would be the
Well, there are two answers to this. First of all, you have to analyze. We are analyzing everything. We have a couple of software tools we are using, Search Metrics, for example, and therefore we have quite a good insight what the people are looking for and what the people are searching for. Secondly, trial and error.
Okay.
Trial and error. You see 50% is working, 50% is not working, then carry on with the next.
Okay. Yeah.
Trial and error. On that bombshell,
thank you.
we must move on. So can I ask you to thank Dominik and Gerrit? It's a tremendous presentation. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks.